I wanted to do something a little different for the tiling videos, so I was playing with a new camera that I was sent from a friend. Unfortunately, audio issues made streaming with that camera untenable, so we only got a few rare shots with it. Since the shower floor was totally finished, I wanted to get Ramboard down to protect the tile and grout from any dripping thinset. I used my favorite marking tool, a silver Sharpie, to put a line on the back wall that would be the basis for my layout. Then I removed all the leak testing black iron and dried any drips. The first 4 tiles were the hardest because they had all the fussy hole drilling in them, and as we'll see, I'm not the best at transferring hole locations.
I don't know what you wanted.
Then ask! I wanted that to be a backer for this, but it's kind of small.
Oh, there's more.
Oh, okay.
Shall I go get them more?
Yes, we need enough to get underneath the thing.
Okay.
Gypsy says hi to Santa.
Hi, Gypsy.
So starting at the center, working the way up and out, we got to drill
Lots of holes.
6 holes. 2 holes in the bottom first 2, 1 hole in the next 2, and that means we're not going to get to any actual mudding or installing for probably at least an hour and a half.
There's 3 of these.
Seriously? What are you doing, boy? Gee whiz.
I'm doing this.
Okay.
Wow, you moved it.
Now, the fun part of your job for this, until I can come up with something better for you to do, is to hold this as well as you can about there and get some earplugs and hold this. Once we've got these holes cut out, I can start mudding and putting them up. This is a general layout of how it's going to go. So this is back wall, this is middle. These are not perfect, but they're pretty close. Bottom ones are gonna have to get cut down. We'll sort that out after all the rest is done. Hopefully these top ones will be full slabs, but they should be pretty close. Once I get this in, you can start measuring and marking for this piece.
Okay.
So I get this one put in, it's good. You can start measuring and marking for this piece and cut this down. The hard part is gonna be, you have to come up with a system by which we know where this piece is. Because I want the leftover of this piece to wrap around this way.
Gotcha.
Once I've got these 2 cut, you can start on these, it'll go faster because otherwise you're just sort of holding stuff as a brace. I don't really want to get started on putting stuff up this wall until this wall is done for a couple of reasons. One of the reasons is this wall especially is not perfectly plumb, so you're gonna have to make actual marks top and bottom and fuss cut it. So if this isn't perfectly plumb, it's going this way, then you need a longer bit at the top than at the bottom.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That's for these ones.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's gonna stagger the seam here. If we're
And then once these are all done all the way up, we can figure out which ones on this wall is the shortest. And then we can cut that parallel because this wall is perfectly plumb and flat. And then so we can cut these all parallel to the width of the thinnest one.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? So that's why I want to do this all the way up, and then we can get to this side, because if we just wrap it around, you're right, there's a good chance that it'll be wonky and we won't be able to solve the grout line here without fussing this out in a weird way, and I want to avoid that if we can. Santa knows what's to do first. Well, I don't even know what's to do first. I've been streaming for like an hour and I have 1 hole drilled. Can you wipe that off? I want to check the lines. Looks like we're pretty okay.
Yeah, it looks like.
Oh, well, now the lines are gone.
Not all of them. That line.
Lesson for the future. It's not a big deal. It should be fine. I'm just saying you get to learn how the material works.
See, that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine, but how about the other side?
Well, if this is okay, that's okay.
Maybe.
You want to see? Look, see?
Okay.
I'm just imagining the line.
Anyone want a coaster? Well, I finally got one right. All right, blue tape is in here somewhere.
That's your first one. Of course you finally got one right.
I have a terrible history of not doing a good job with these holes.
Really?
Yep.
See? Told you. Terrible at transferring holes.
Okay. That will be close enough. Like if I get it installed and the pipe I need to install won't go in, I can grind it from here.
This isn't necessarily a way that I would recommend anyone else tries to do to transfer holes, but I had some help, so I figured might as well.
Santa does not give Moose Christmas presents, isn't that true?
Well, there are 2 lists. I think you're through.
Barely.
I am confused about the grid.
This one here,
Yeah?
this is a tile, this square
Yeah.
is a tile, that's this tile,
Okay.
okay? We're not working on this tile
Oh, I
because
see,
there's a
'cause it's
board
down
there.
Gotcha, okay.
So we're not working on that tile because there's a board there.
Right, so...
So we're also not going to work on this one because there's a board.
board there. What about this one, Moose?
I'll let you figure that out.
I'm including all the mud process for the first tile, except the back battery, and Santa did that while I was working on the wall, because I wanted to let you see how long it would take. This is sped up by 5 times and still takes the better part of a full minute. So thinset application alone, not cutting, not planning, not fussing, not anything else, just thinset, is more than an hour's worth of work for just this back wall. Now, of course, tiles where you don't have any protrusions or anything funky to work around or any tight spaces, those will go a little bit faster, but even for a basic shower, you're going to have a few. I really don't think there's such a thing as overstating how important staying clean while you're working with thinset is. Keep the floor clean, keep your tools clean, keep the edges of your tile clean, keep everything clean.
It's pretty good.
Here's a thing I've never heard any YouTuber say. Be sure, when you're placing your leveling clips, that you're always behind a sufficiently meaty part of the tile. You see me take one out that I had put in right above the hole for one of my shower arms and move it over slightly to avoid that weak point. Replacing a tile that's cracked is bad enough. Recutting 2 specifically placed holes because you derped up clip placement would be a whole lot of not fun.
If you were to hire a bathroom company to come and do this bathroom, this shower, you'd be, in this town, you're looking at 50, 60, 70 grand. Now I could have paid someone else 3 grand just for the tiling, and that's like just Calgary construction, markups on markups on markups. But I figure it's gonna take me about a week. Like I should be basically done on Friday, a week including today, 5 days. And then I did some back of the napkin math. If I'm saving myself, like he wanted $27.50, and he says that includes materials. Okay, well I had to buy 2 bags of thinset, maybe 3, but it's like 13 bucks each, so there's 40 bucks. And then I have to buy 7 pieces of tile trim, so that's another maybe 150 bucks. So if we round up, we say it's 200 bucks of material because I already have the grout. Then he wanted, you know, $25.50 for. He said he'd be done in 3 days. And, you know, if you're way better than me, I could see this being a 3-day job. Absolutely. But at 3 days job, that's him trying to get $100 an hour or more. Now, I'm not getting $100 an hour by doing this in 5 days, but I worked it out. And if I'm making 2,500 bucks by me doing the job instead of paying someone else to do it, and that takes me a week, I think that worked out to like 130K a year. It's like 2,500 times 50. So I want to make it at least look like I paid someone, and I can say, you know what, if I want to use my quartz, I can do that, and he's not going to try to upcharge me for... Right, and if you don't have steady work, then maybe you shouldn't be trying to get $100 an hour. Or if you are sure you're worth that and you want to have steady work, then hire someone to go and bid your jobs for you. You know, at the point where you think you're worth $100 an hour, you should be growing your business and you should not have time to go and meet with people. You should be hiring other people to do work for you as like part of your company. Because if you're that good, you should be growing. But if you're a guy in a van and you're charging, well, because that's what all the big tile companies charge. Well, they charge that because they have big tile company expenses. If you don't have those expenses, you shouldn't be charging that money. If you want to charge that money, don't just charge like a big boy, act like a big boy. Oh, that's a lovely sound. Oh yeah, grind it, baby. Let's wipe this off, clip it on, and then we'll fuss it for straight along the laser line, and then we can start cleanup. I mean, I got nothing against people trying to make a decent living. I do have something against trades when especially there is no real certification process. Like, you don't need to go get, years of schooling to go be a tile guy. You don't have to get a gas ticket or an electrician's permit. You just gotta buy the tools and get to work. I might want to slide this bottom out a little bit, but then they want to charge lawyer rates. If it was the kind of thing where like you were an artist and people were willing to pay more for this job because you have that artistic name, like that artistic recognition, and people say, oh, this is this person's work. This is an original Moose Does stuff. Well, okay, then sure, charge whatever you want. But that's not this, and that's not this guy. Okay, we're gonna put the laser back on, well, maybe not back on the tripod, but get it a little closer. Shrink that line up some. Get that line just outside that tile. Yeah, that's gonna have to do. I think we're pretty good. We'll get some clips in there and start cleanup. It's so tough because of how much dimmer it gets, but anything more than that, and I'm fussing like a 30-second, and I was fussing at 30-second anyway, so let's just say that we're good there and start cleaning. That's a start. Okay, so we can try to fuss these around a little bit. My main concern is getting this line perfectly straight for all three pieces, and I really hope I don't have to trim one down to get it up there. But we'll find out. We'll grab a piece of scrap to check the height, so I don't try to hoist the whole thing up and then have it not fit. Yeah, we'll be fine.
This gives you an idea both of how much easier this would be for me to edit, but also how much easier it is for you to watch if I was able to use the still camera for more of the work.
I'm about to do some sketchy stuff, doo-da, doo-da. I hope that I get away with it and this clip doesn't snap. That might have to be acceptable. There.